is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Could this be a positive for Tua? And some people might look at it as a negative. I think it's actually a positive. Let me explain how it could be a positive for some people and it could be a negative for other people, for other players. But in Tua's case, I think it's an extreme positive. Do you know why? You know Ryan Tannehill was a project. He was so mediocre as a quarterback, they moved him to wide receiver. But yet you drafted him in the eighth pick overall in the first round because you were hoping he would turn the corner because he's got incredible athleticism. And that is true. He is a hell of an athlete. But it didn't happen, right? Blaine Gabbert, a guy that wasn't ready, but yet they took him. And they ended up paying the price. Blake Bortles did not have one trait that was elite coming out of college. I remember a friend of mine who was a UFC grad, and he loved him, right? And he should, because he played well for the school. Didn't they get to the Orange Bowl? Didn't UCF get to the Orange Bowl with Blake Bortles, I want to say? They got to a big-ass bowl game, I remember. So any UFC grad or fan or whatever, you got to love Blake Bortles. He did great stuff for your school. But when looking at him and then talking to people in the NFL, one of the things that I would tell people that would ask me about Blake Bortles that year, I would say, I think he's average at best at everything. I don't think he excels at anything. And sure enough, but you reach for him because you're desperate for quarterbacks. And that desperation, my friends, is what's going to be Tua's number one asset. Desperation. No doubt in my mind, because everybody needs a quarterback. And less than half the league has a franchise quarterback. Maybe there's 12 franchise quarterbacks in this league, maybe, out of 32. So that means there's a lot of teams really looking for their franchise guy. And Tua is healing. Now, is he completely healthy? Of course not. Is he ready to take hits? Of course not. Is he durable? Not even close. They know all of these things. But yet, you're still going to reach for him. You're still going to take him. So whether it's somebody trading up to number 3 with Detroit to take him, or whether it's Miami taking him at 5, or Miami dropping out and dropping down a couple of spots and letting somebody else move up to 5 to take him because maybe they want to move down to 5 or 8 or 9 or 10 and they feel they'll still get their tackle or something at that point and they'll pick up extra. I don't know what the plan is. I'm just throwing out scenarios, okay? Don't go running with it thinking that I'm telling you that they're trading down and they're not going to pick up. I don't know. I'm just telling you that that's a possibility. Because if you want to tackle, you can still get your tackle a couple picks later. So if there's somebody up there that wants to move up to number 5 to take Tua, but you don't want Tua because he's injury prone, go for it. But my point is, in a normal scenario, a guy coming off a hip injury in another position can't work out for teams and has been injury prone, he would drop drastically in the draft. He would drop like a bad habit. But because you're a quarterback, the desperation sets in. I mean, think about us as Dolphins fans. What is the number one thing that we talk about? Drew Brees, because that makes us desperate. We didn't draft Drew Brees. We took Jamar Fletcher. We didn't sign Drew Brees because they went with Culpepper. So we've got Drew Brees in our minds, and it's burned in there. And we failed twice with Drew Brees. The second go-around had to do with injury, something we're dealing with now with Tua. The only difference is Drew Brees is not injury prone. That was the one injury he had. I get it. I know he just had that thumb injury, but that's 20 years into the league. The guy has had, a little scope here or there in off seasons, but he's never really been injury prone. Tua, in his very short college career, is extremely injury prone. And serious injuries at that. But having said all that, because he's a quarterback, teams are going to reach. And he might have lost some leverage if his workouts weren't complete. I mean, it was like a mini drop back that he did in that video. It's not like he's really doing a nice deep 5-7 step drop where he has to really plant and throw. Nobody saw that. We don't know if he can do it. But because you assume he's going to get healthy, and here's the thing about Tua. You know the dude can pass the hell out of the ball. So this isn't a project like Blaine Gabbert or Ryan Tannehill or any of these kind of guys that you got to teach them how to play the game and they got to learn, or Josh Allen, who was taken 8th overall and doesn't have accuracy, things like that. These are guys you have to work on. Lamar Jackson, huge project. That's why he lasted all the way to the end of the first round. Now, this guy, you don't have to do that. What do you think that becomes? That becomes even more enticing. That becomes more intoxicating because you know he can play. That's the thing about Tua. Most of us, we like him as a passer. I know I do. I love him as a passer. I won't draft him at 5 only because I'm not a fan of him physically. I don't think he's going to. I am convinced he won't hold up in the NFL. I'm convinced he will break down consistently in the NFL. But if he doesn't, then yes, he'll become a good quarterback in this league. And that's where the desperation sets in. And that is where I think he can actually use this coronavirus to his advantage.